All right, back on Sunday Night Rant. Let's just get this audience to build up, and I'll just get a bit of feedback from people if this is working on this time. I've just changed iPhones, so let's just get this audience to build up. Now, as you come on, if you can let me know, maybe typing something in the comment and let me know if it's working. Thumbs up, it's working. All good? Beautiful. Can you hear me loud and clear? Hey Joey, how you going? Good stuff. Guys, press the share button. Hey Michael, how you going? Beautiful. Woohoo, we're back. Hey Rachel. Okay, I'm pumped. Beautiful. Bing. Result. Excellent. Okay, so gang, what am I doing today? I'm going to give you a wrap up of some of the best ideas of Arik. Some of you were there, some of you weren't there, some of you were there but hungover, some of you were not there because you slept in, but the bottom line, some of you don't even go to training events, and that's all good as well. What I'm going to do is just cover 5 minutes of good content. Then I'm going to talk to you about Gary V, which, by the way, did get ranked officially. Tret told me the other day they got the surveys back, which I thought, and I actually said it at Arik, I thought the number one session was Bob Wolf, an international real estate agent speaker, but in fact was Gary Vaynerchuk. He got ranked the number one talk, and I thought at the time, anyway, they were all good, and the local speakers were good, and I'm going to talk about some of those in a moment. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to give you some scripts and dialogue that I think that you need to master, because I'm telling you, as I've said in other videos, the real estate marketplace has actually changed dramatically in the 3-4 weeks that I was away. In other parts of Australia, like Perth, it has always been lacking buyer energy, and you've had to be the deal maker and the vendor educator all the time. But all of a sudden, real estate agents in Sydney and Melbourne who were popping up, just putting the keys in the doors, opening up the doors and showing people through, are no longer putting deals, because we're in a transition market. And the transition market, anyone that's been in real estate, I've been working in it for 3 decades. Transition marketplaces are where you have to actually show absolute leadership, because your vendors are using comparable sales of a month ago. So gang, just want to make sure we've got everyone, we've got people. Yes, Bob was amazing, absolutely. Let's just wait for this audience to keep coming on. Yes, it was great to see you as well, Jess, at the Harcourts conference. By the way, gang, can you all tell me, am I dropping out or can you hear me very well? Just let me know. Yes, I'm in love with Gary V for a lot of reasons, partly because he's helped my business dramatically. Okay, beautiful. Hey, Graham. So, I'm going to talk about Gary V. I'm also going to talk to you about a device that Susan, my business manager, got me today, which is called a Muse. Have a look at that there, which is, hey Arabella, which is a meditation device, a self-monitoring meditation device. It's getting rave reviews, and I'm just going to touch on it because I've already started using it, and meditation is one of the things that I've used a lot, and it is very, very important in my total well-being, but I've always struggled with it. Now, gang, I want to let you know, if you are having a problem listening to my rant, it is most likely because you also need to update your Facebook app on your mobile phone. Don't do it now because I think it'll take ages, but I'm letting you know at the end of this rant, you might want to update it anyway. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about your why, and I actually think people's whys are overrated. And I'm only going to talk about it because I noticed that a lot of the presentations I went to last week at AREC, I noticed that they were talking about their whys. And all I can say to you is that I actually don't think you need a why. I think that, and I'll talk to you further about it. How about I just let you know that your why can actually just be clarified as you're doing things. Don't wait for you to have an absolute clear why before you actually start doing stuff. Because if you're hunting and hunting for your why, what you'll actually find is that you won't actually take action. What I've learned is this: just doing stuff gets you motivated, and by being motivated, the reasons why you keep doing stuff change. So let me just start off and tell you, when I dropped out of uni the first time, I got to tell you, my why was I wanted to prove to my parents that I wasn't going to be a no-hoper, loser by dropping out of uni. That was the first. The second reason why I worked really, really hard in my life was I did need cash. And I wanted lots of cash because I had no fucking cash. So that was a driver. Then there was a period of time where my why was I wanted to be known as one of the people that was the best in their field. So it was all about having a value of recognition. Then time goes by and I have other whys, which is like, it means a lot for me to feel like I can help or rescue someone. It means a lot to me. The ability that I can actually say, do, impact, send something to someone that actually changes them from feeling not well to well, or from feeling good to great. Or when I'm, working with a real estate client, whether it's, Taney Jane or Gav Rubenstein or any other client that I work and I see that they 2x their income. I value that. So your currency is an interesting word. Why you do things changes. So don't wait for this extra vision because it changes all the time. I mean, I clearly remember last year, one of my chemo nurses looking at me and saying to me, "Oh, Tom, you're so brave doing what you're doing, going through what you're going." And I just looked at her and I said, "I'm brave?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Obviously, your kids must be your driving force." I said, "Look, I love my kids, but I'm going to tell you, in case you don't know, I've got cancer. I'm dying. If I don't do this, I will die. What the fuck are my options?" So I don't think you need to really sit there and complicate it. You do things that are pressing at a particular time because they need to get done. It's as simple as that. And then you do stuff and you get addicted to stuff and you like it. And I'm going to talk further about it. I'm going to talk to you about your calling because I actually don't think you've got a calling. And I'm going to touch on that. But let me run through AREC very quickly. I'm going to give you 5 minutes of AREC. By the way, press that share button. Press that share button right now because I've got really good content out there. Number one, the first guy that spoke at AREC, his name was Scott Harris. Now, let me tell you what I thought of him. I thought he was okay. He goes around the world speaking at various conferences and he'd done a fair bit of work with Anthony Robbins. Nice guy on the Gold Coast. What I liked about him is some of his content was really good. His best thing I liked is that he talked about that we're making 250 to 300 decisions a day. 250 to 300 decisions a day. And what you can do is simplify your life so you're not burning a lot of energy trying to make decisions all the time. Like one of the things that I could say is simplify your life with what you wear. Don't have that many different options there that you've got to make choices. Simplify your life with your to-do list. Only pick 5 things that you need to achieve each day. But the other thing that he actually said that was really interesting, and Mel Robbins touches on this, is that we're actually designed to make decisions not to succeed. I want you to understand that. We're actually designed to make decisions not to succeed. And the reason why is this. Because as cavemen, we were taught whenever something felt uncomfortable that we should get ready to fight or that we should run away from it. And that was when we were, dying and hunting to eat food. Life has now moved on, and that is not an issue for us. And if you're living in Australia, New Zealand, UK, or any of those developed countries, it is no longer about you out there in the forest hunting to eat food for the day. But in fact, what it is it's about growth and personal development. And in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we now know that, things like, food, shelter, sex are layers of it, but we also have this, innate need, a need for us to be actually having self-actualization. And self-actualization means becoming more. And all I've got to say to you is this. So if you think about it, we become uncomfortable. So what we do is we retreat and we hesitate and we pause. And it is during this pause that we actually talk to ourselves, you need to get safe. So we take ourselves from being uncomfortable back to comfortable. Here lies the fucking problem. As I said 2 weeks ago, the problem, of course, is that we do need to get to that level of being uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, because that is in fact where all the growth happens. And he talked about being able to understand that when we're faced with that decision to retreat or to actually fight, that we must understand that what we've got to actually do is embrace it. And I'm going to tell you, if you are feeling funny about it and it feels uncomfortable, it's probably a really good thing. So I'm hoping that one of the rituals that you take, one of the habits, one of the new beliefs that you'll take is actually embrace feeling a little bit awkward, because this is where all the good shit in your life is happening. Okay, so that was Scott Harris. Matty Lancashire, Ray White New Farm, $2 million a year rider. He just basically said, it's all about the open for inspection. That the agent that has the best open houses will get the most listings. And I've got to say to you, for me, what's a world-class open house look like? Being there on time. Rick Serrao, I think it was, or Gav Rubenstein said it at my Friday video that I did with him live stream. He's got a driver that now drops him off to actually make sure that he's on time and he can save time. Rick Serrao talked about using a motorbike to get through Bondi, which is saving him 2.5 hours a day. But for me, world-class open houses, these are worth writing down. These are worth jotting down in your head if you don't write it down. Number one is call your owners on the Friday and wish them all the best. Number two is have all your open house boards up by 8 a.m. on the Saturday morning. Number three is make sure that you've got a smile on your face as people come through your open house. Number four is send a photo or a video to your vendors during the open house, giving them live feedback. Next is, at the end of the open house, give them feedback on what actually happened. Next thing is, on a Saturday, do your open house callbacks at the end of the day. If your open house callbacks are on Sunday, do them on Sunday. So gang, I'm letting you know, I'm shooting off content here that's going to be extremely useful for you in the coming week. The next thing I want you to understand is call your appraisals on a Saturday afternoon and give them feedback on what vendors have sold in your marketplace, because you want to be the Google of the marketplace. You want to be the disc jockey, the curator of information. That is what a real estate agent is in 2017. They become the disc jockey of their farm area, and what they do is, as Graham says, they become the content king. Now, your clients can get the content anywhere, but there's something great about you putting it to them in a platter and taking it to them versus them coming to you. So that was what Matty Lancashire talked about. Melita Bell, who might be on this as well, she spoke great. She spoke about the 5 a.m. club. Her 5 a.m. club was waking up and getting her child ready. But she did an amazing talk. She makes 100 sales a year, and that's what I got out of hers. The fact that, like when a guy says to me, it's all hard, I look at some of these females that are running their real estate business and also running a household and running their kids. I think that the way you look at a problem is the problem. Hey, Melita, we're talking about you. I'm not going to go through every talker, by the way, because I'm going to do half this week and half next week. Bob Wolf, let me tell you, Bob Wolf's presentation I've heard before, but it was still incredible. Why? It's his energy. Haven't you worked out that the best presentations at AREC were energy-induced presentations? The guy actually did not say that much different to other presentations. You could have actually watched his presentation on a video. It was the same presentation. What I'm saying to you is this. It is the delivery, because people forget what you say, but they never forget the feeling that you're left with. And what he did is he left people with an amazing feeling, because people remember the feeling, energy. Okay, let's move on. Charles Toomer talked about work with buyers who will be your vendors in 2 to 3 years, because they're the easiest people to deal with. The easiest people to deal with are buyers, because they're there. And everyone does it the other way around, and all they're doing is out there looking for a vendor who's trying to actually not talk to you. And what he's saying is become their agent before they need an agent. So when they need an agent, they're either going to use you, or they're telling all their people, hey, I didn't buy off Charles Toomer, but I tell you what, he was incredible to work with. So let me move on to Chiminello. Chiminello, in a nutshell, what did he talk about? Have a fit database, not a fat database. Have a fit database, not a fat database. What the hell? Do you want to have 30,000 people that don't want to hear from you? Get real. I've been spammed for Viagra 1,000 times and I haven't bought yet. So, yet, it's a word. So gang, what I want to say to you is this. Understand that you want to have people that want to get your content. And that's why I'm not that fussed, you know. I occasionally lose people on social media because I stand for something. But I would rather have, say, 30,000 people engaged with me than actually 60,000 people that aren't engaged with me. So it's not about how many followers you have. It's about the impact that you make to your followers. And it's not about how many people you've got in your database. It's how many people actually are happy for you to be in contact with them in your database. So let's move on to Henry Mason. Henry Mason is a consumer behavior analyst. And I like this guy. He was an English guy, a bit of a geek, but he made some really valid points that people now whinge when they're waiting for an Uber for 8 minutes. Where we would, you know, in previous days, we used to wait, you know, for a long time for a cab. But people now whinge about an 8-minute wait. They're saying, because why? Because we now live in a speed currency economy. It's all about fast. And what's actually happening is that this person that's dealing with Uber actually expects that with you as a real estate agent, because what actually happens is their expectations are migrated from one industry to another, because as a client, they see themselves as being entitled to get the same level of service because they've been trained to get things quickly. So I want you to understand that for us in real estate, it's really interesting because we get bombarded with thousands of emails on realestate.com and domain.com. And in the process, we actually are still there like the David Jones salesperson trying to manage this inquiry. So I suppose what I'm saying to you is that the salespeople that are the first to give information to the marketplace pick up credit points off that vendor. That was Henry Mason. Josh Hart. Well, Josh came on to speak at AREC with 2 months to go because another speaker, Martin Fox, his wife was having a baby. He had to pull out of it. And baby, I heard's gone all good. So well done, Martin. And Josh Hart came along and he spoke about the fact that, you know, don't walk into the room unless they know who you are. And the way that you do that is that you win the game of relevance. by video. And what he actually does, Josh Hart, if you actually look at him, is he actually doesn't do what Gary Vaynerchuk does, which is have a videographer full time. But what he actually does is he pretty much documents his life as a real estate agent on Insta, like on Insta Live, or sorry, Insta Story. And what you can do is, and this is a Gary Vee point, is he says that one of the things you've got to do is let people to find out about your authenticity, and you can do that on social media with Facebook, or you can do that with Instagram and Story, and give people a running update. So look, the great thing about Facebook and Insta is you can copy people's strategy by just actually following them. So I'm not going to spend time talking about it. Arabella talked about, it was a great, and I'm so happy I got Arabella to speak at AREC. Firstly is because AREC needs more females. Secondly is because she's a great agent. And thirdly, she comes from a place in Adelaide which doesn't have multi-million-dollar prices. But she talked about the fact that what you've got to do is become unforgettable. That when you walk into a listing presentation and there's 3 or 4 that the vendor's got to pick, you've got to actually make that vendor feel like they're going to get, you got to get that vendor to basically give you a standing ovation on the inside. They've got to say, Arabella was so much better than everyone else, I'm giving it to Arabella. And she talked about, what Seth Godin talks about, and that is being different, being the purple cow. Because if you're all the same, no one can tell the difference. And she made that funny remark, and we're talking, I SMS'd her yesterday. She said, do you want to be the guy with the chinos, which is every agent out there? So she must have agents that she goes up against that are wearing chinos. Anyway, let's move on. Chris Voss is the final guy I'm going to speak to about. And Chris Voss, I caught up. And by the way, can I let you know, to all my real estate gym members, guess what? You're all getting a video of me with each speaker. All speakers, I actually interviewed them and I asked them the hard questions. Not just what they wanted to say, I asked them real estate stuff on how they got there, what they did to get there. And that is going to be released to all my real estate gym members. In addition to the fact that I know you'll take shit fucking notes. You go to a conference and you take shit notes, and sometimes you get slack and you do nothing about those notes. So what I'm going to be doing for all my real estate gym members is giving you an implementation plan for AREC, including summaries of what videos of me interviewing the speakers and how you will actually implement that into your business. Why? Because it's all about execution, and I am into giving value to my gym members. Okay, so Gary Vee, as I said, got ranked. Trek gave us the results 2 days later on their survey. Number 1 was Gary Vee. Number 2 was Bob Wolf, which I actually thought at the time, I thought Bob Wolf's presentation was incredible. But Gary Vee's, look, it had to be good because he wasn't even in the fucking room. But let's talk about Gary Vee. 4 things I want to talk about Gary Vee. Hey Nick, how you going? Hey, by the way, Nicola Byrne from Tret, she is a power horse. She pretty much runs that event. She's got Isabella, who's no longer with Tret. She's moved on, gone back to uni. She'll probably be back. But, Nicola puts on that whole event. So thanks a lot, Nick. But let me just talk about Gary Vee for a moment. The first thing I'll say to you is that he's the real deal. His audio matches his video. The second thing I'm going to tell you is the 4 points that I think are critical for you as real estate agents. And I'm actually going to analyze, thank you, Nick. I'm going to analyze Gary Vee further in other rants. But let me just run through. Point number 1 from Gary Vee that he said. Get ready. Be a media company. Be a media company, right? Be a media company. Key takeaway point. Think about it. You can have a podcast. You can shoot video. You can do live stream. You can do Insta stories. You can write a blog. Be a media company. You've got the ability to be a media company. I work for a media company, right? I work for News Corp, the biggest media company, and I've had for a long period of time. But I'm also going to tell you, I actually see myself as a media company, and I do the stuff that he talks about. I've had a video blog for like 8 years. I've had a podcast for about that time. I do 2 podcasts. I've got 7-figure agents, and I've got the one I do with Troy Malcolm and John McGrath, which is $1 million agent, right? I'm constantly putting out content on social media, and I want to be the source of information. And that is what helps me with my analytics and being optimized on Google, because I flood it with content. So be a media company, document everything, and you might want to do what Matt Steinwade's doing. Matt Steinwade has gone off and he has actually hired a videographer that is actually following him around to listing presentations, to buyer appointments, and he's trying to do a Gary V in real estate to show people what he's doing. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. What you've got to do is very simple. On social media, you just document. In fact, I'd even say it's simple on social media, because a lot of people are actually going to find it easier to go onto there than having to go to your YouTube channel. The next thing about Gary V is know yourself. Know yourself. This is the thing about Gary V. The reason that he is happy to talk over the top of everyone, like he did to me, he does it to everyone. The reason why he can talk over the top of everyone is he knows what he stands for. He's sure of himself, right? Now, here's the deal. When you're not sure of yourself, what actually happens is this. You get sucked in to actually become someone that will, go fly a plane into the Twin Towers, because you're vulnerable. When you're unsure of yourself, what actually happens is that you're constantly running around changing who you are to please other people. So basically you become everything to everyone and you become a stranger to yourself. Thank you, Hayden. Panels for Prime Minister. Love that. When you're not sure of yourself, you're constantly having this fight in your head because you care too much about what other people say. When you're not sure of yourself, you begin to have doubts when you walk into a listing presentation and you say to yourself, why would they pick me if I don't even pick me? So one of the things I want you to understand is know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you don't give a flying fuck about what other people think of you. And as I said to you, a few months back, I'm walking through the airport. Guy stops me. He said to me, Tom, I like your stuff, but don't take this personally, mate. My opinion. And I said, stop. Before you go on, I can tell you I already don't give a fuck. What are you going to say? And the truth is that if someone is going to say, don't take this personally, what the fuck am I going to do? Of course I'm going to take it personally. So as Taney says, don't give oxygen to what people say. You know what? And even if they go on, smile, agree, and just do whatever the fuck you were going to do anyway. The other thing I got out of Gary V was this, that he talked about, this term, double down on your strengths. Double down on your strengths. You know what? Don't worry about what you're not good at. Focus on what you're good at and then 2x it, 3x it. Double down on your strengths, because what actually happens is that's where you get a great return of investment. Sorry, gang, I've got to drink something. This is a longer rant than normal. But, by the way, share button if you haven't. Now, the other thing that he talked about is whinging has zero value. Whinging has zero value. Whinging has zero value. And I want you to understand that concept, that he actually said the only people care about you whinging is your mother, because it's your mother, and your loser girlfriend. They were his exact words. So here's the deal. Nobody cares. Get that into your head. People don't care about you. They care about themselves. Nobody cares. Work fucking harder. Remember that. Let's move on. Gang, I want to touch on some scripts and dialogues because since I've come back to Australia and I've been away for, a month or two, 2 trips. One was to the US, came back, and then I was gone to London and Athens. So when I've come back, I've just noticed this marketplace has changed. I noticed a lot of properties have been withdrawn that I had for auction. I noticed I've got a lot of one-bidder auctions, and I've had a lot of properties sold prior. So the truth of the matter is that we're seeing a transition marketplace. Transition marketplaces are the most sensitive marketplaces because what you've got is you've got vendors who are actually expecting prices of properties that have sold in the last 8 weeks, but those values are no longer there. And that is why right now, every agent that is watching this has to be super fast and be getting in front of their vendors ASAP and basically having a dialogue and language to this effect. Let me run through some of the dialogue and language. Number one, if you've got properties that you've appraised that are sitting in your database, I recommend that you're on the phones ASAP, as I said in the video yesterday, and if you haven't watched it, watch it. My auction video at the end of the day. Get on the phones. Hi, it's Tom here. I'm letting you know that I just wanted to give you some feedback on what's happening in the market. You'd indicated to me that you potentially were going to come in the market in September, October. I'm letting you know that what we're noticing is that the marketplace is changing and buyer urgency is going down. The amount of negative articles that are online and in the press, in print, is at its highest ever about real estate dropping and a price correction. What we're doing is actually recommending to all our vendors to bring forward their plans of putting their properties on the market because right now, as we have entered winter, there is a seasonable lower amount of listings on the market. We believe that you're going to get a better result for the sale of your property if your property is on the market in isolation, not in competition. I believe, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, that your best strategy for moving forward with your real estate transaction is to sell in winter and to buy in spring when there's a lot of properties, because we believe that you'll be buying at a discount level. So you need to do that. You need to show leadership right now and get on the phones. That's the dialogue for prospective vendors. For those vendors that are currently on the market right now, and you want to get some price corrections, here's the dialogue. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, at the moment, what we've seen is the marketplace has changed and there are about 15 properties selling a month. There are 50 that are staying on the market. You've got to make a decision. Are you going to be one of the 15 that moves on, or are you going to be one of the 50 that helps the other 15 sell? So gang, please understand, you've got to start having crucial conversations. You've got to start going ugly early. You've got to start telling people what they need to hear, not what they like to hear. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck with listings that are unsold. And if you've got a listing on your books that does not get sold, it is not a listing. It's a liability. Listings are either assets or liabilities. Assets become a sale and a settlement. Listings that don't sell become a liability. Right now, you are the person that can change a property from being stuck to unstuck. And what you need to do is start having critical conversations with these vendors. Another piece of dialogue that I think you should be using with vendors when you're actually pricing property, even at a listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I don't want you to have your property priced at a figure that you're on top of the market. I want you to be in the market. Remember that. I don't want you to be sitting on top of the market. I need you to be in the market, because that's where the buyers are looking. They are looking in the market. And you need to actually start having what I call the buyer-seller meeting. And the buyer-seller meeting works this way. What you do is actually have your vendors, You've got the vendor hope to get price, you've got an expected price and a report back price. And what you've got to do is establish with your team what price will that property sell today, and get on the phones and ring your vendors and say, hey, I've got a buyer, they've got $730,000 to spend. Am I wasting my time bringing them around? Only one of 3 responses can be made to you by that vendor. Yes, you're wasting your time. Will they come up in price? Or bring them over. This is how you can work out who is actually motivated without asking them what their bottom line figure is. So gang, by the way, on Tuesday, all my real estate gym members are getting a 7:30 to 8:30 session on the private Facebook page, where I'm going to run through all the scripts and dialogues that they need to have now for the next 3 months. So if you're a gym member and you're not on the private Facebook page, you need to apply tomorrow so we can get you approved. If you aren't in the real estate gym, Susan has opened up the doors, and if you go to therealestategym.com.au, you can join. And you'll be getting what all my members are going to get, which is a 30-day ARIC implementation plan. You'll also be getting a weekly Facebook video. You'll be joining us on the Tuesday rant. And most importantly, you'll also be getting, in 3 or 4 weeks, the Gary Vee interview. We're going to drip feed it across. ARIC and myself are going to drip feed it across over the next few weeks, but in 3 or 4 weeks, the whole video will be up. So, gang, I want to talk to you very briefly about this device that Susan gave me today, which sits over like this. Now, this thing here, I'll just get you the box here. Ooh, that's it there. It's called Muse. And what it is I actually, and by the way, Susan, thank you so much. You always buy me gifts, and this is my favorite gift because I know if something's going to be good for me the minute I try it. And I tried it, and what it does is it actually helps you meditate by giving you instant feedback, because the band measures the sensitivity that you've got in your brain, and it goes to your iPhone or Samsung app, and it's giving you feedback, hydration. And gang, I can tell you that I can already see that this tool is going to meet my needs. Why? Because it's a compliance tool. It's addictive, and what it's doing now is it's making me meditate again tonight. And what it is, it's creating a habit, which is a compliance tool. And that's the value of it. When something gets you to do it, for instance, a Fitbit with people walking. For instance, my prospector with people prospecting. And what I'm going to do is we are beginning a My Prospector competition. Last prospector competition, we had none other by Taney Jane that won it, who became a $1 million agent. We are running a My Prospector competition for 4 weeks starting this week. So if you are in the gym, you will be getting your results and you can see them yourself, but you're also going to be getting a ladder. And as Taney Jane says, best tool, My Prospector. Hear it from a guy that's a $1 million agent in 2 years. Take it from him. Take it from Taney Jane. We are running a My Prospector competition. Taney, I've got bad news for you. We cannot give you the award twice because Susan and I agreed you cannot be a winner twice. So the real winner, of course, is everyone that does the prospecting, because it's the listings that you're going to get. So gang, that is it. The last thing I want to talk to you about before I finish is why I don't think you need a why. Why I don't think you need a why. Now listen very carefully, gang. Listen very carefully. The reason why I don't think you need a why is because your why changes all the time. And as I said earlier on, you do stuff and you feel motivated and you move on, and other things inspire you. If you sit and you wait to have a fucking vision before you take action, I'm letting you know, you won't get started. You'll be waiting and waiting and waiting. The truth of the matter is, you know how motivation works? You take action first, then you get motivated. And what actually happens is you get feedback and you change your mind, and then you do a bit of that, and then you focus what you're good at, and you do what Gary Vee says, you double down on the stuff that you're good at. And this has got nothing to do with fucking vision, right? This has got to do with the fact that you're a winner, right? It's as simple as that. And I want to say, stop using finding my why as my excuse. And anyone that says, oh, my children are my why, of course your children are your why. Of course your mortgage is your why. Of course being alive and drinking water is your why. But what I'm saying to you is this, that people at the end of the day, why don't we just leave it on this point? Why don't we just leave it on this point? You know, when people say, I want to find my calling, I want to find my calling. There's 8 billion people in this fucking world. Do you think that 8 billion people have got their unique separate calling? Do you think 8 billion people were born in this planet? They came out of their mum's stomach, and at that time they said, Steve Jobs, you are going to actually come up with the iPhone. That's your calling. That's bullshit. He worked a job. He found stuff that he liked. For a while he was smoking pot. He became a Buddhist. He became a hippie. He did a bit of that. He did a bit of this. He found things that he liked doing. He got addicted to it. When you're addicted to something, you work long hours. He was competitive. He then moved on and he did this. Then they dumped him. Haven't you worked out? When you look backwards, the dots join up, like he says. So what I'm going to say to you is, don't think you came out of your mum's stomach with this unique calling. That's absolutely bullshit. And on that point, gang, what I want to say is this. 80% of winning is beginning. Don't complicate it. Get started. If it's exercise, trust me, don't feel motivated to go for a run. Go for a run, then you feel motivated. Then you might say, okay, I might actually even take CrossFit up. Or then I might actually do weights. If it's fucking prospecting, people spend more time preparing to prospect than prospect. Get onto My Prospector. What you measure, you manage, and what gets scheduled gets done. Think about that. Gang, I'm going to leave you on that point, but I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to talk to you next week. I've gone over. It's been a real estate rant. I'm going to talk to you about the monks next week. But realestategym.com.au, we open the doors 2 times a year officially. I've opened it. Go up there. By the way, it works out to being $10 per week. And I'm going to give everyone that joins a special 9-week program, the A to Z in real estate. I'm going to give everyone access to a 7-day Kickstart program. You're going to have all the scripts and dialogues there in the gym. You're going to have access to your own personal My Prospector. So that is yours. That is your name on there. It measures your own prospecting by the person that generates most amount of appointments wins in the end. So Susan's going to have the link in the comments below. And gang, my final words are, stop looking for yourself. It's not about finding yourself. It's about recreating yourself. God bless.